Hey guys, I'm Sneha and you are watching my channel Book Junction. Welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I'm going to review Priyanka Chopra's book Unfinished, which is her memoir. So I got really excited when I found out that she is releasing her book because I really look up to her when it comes to her speaking skills and the way she presents herself. I think she is pretty graceful, and that's why I really wanted to know what is it that makes her so different, and I really admire her when it comes to her communication skills and all of that. So that's why I pre-ordered my copy of the book and I received it the very day it got launched, and I read it in a day or two, I think, because the book is not really that long. It's 250 pages long, which is not really a lot for a memoir. Now the thing is, I have mixed feelings regarding this book. That is, I'm going to say some positive things as well as some negative things. So I just wanted to put that out. If you are a huge fan of Priyanka Chopra, then maybe these things will trigger you. So I just wanted you guys to know that. My intention with this review is to make it as honest as possible, because I know that a lot of you guys will invest your money in the book and I want you guys to get the worth of that money. So that's my intention. Now without any further delay, let's actually start talking about the book. So first, let's discuss the timeline of the book, like how it continues and what are the things that you will get to read in the book. So the book is written pretty chronologically, that is from her childhood to the present. She starts the book by telling us about her childhood, and she talks about how she had to shift from one place to the other because of her father's job, because he was an army doctor and they had to transfer a lot from one place to the other, which made her acquainted with the idea of not really settling at one place and always looking up to the next place that she would go. And life was never about settling down, it was always about adventure. So as she talks about her childhood, she shares a lot of anecdotes and we get to know what kind of a kid she was. And meanwhile, she also talks a lot about her parents and grandparents, which I personally enjoyed a lot, because when you look up to a person, there is a history behind that person and a lot of things are involved in the upbringing of a person and what they achieve in their life. So when you get to know about their history and the people who are behind her, it just makes it very worthwhile to read that part. She also talks a lot about her school days and her hostel life. So she was sent to boarding school after a certain age because she started acting up a lot and she got really stubborn because she was jealous of her younger brother and she just needed a lot of discipline, and that's why her mother made the decision of sending her off to the boarding school where she learned discipline and how to be by yourself. And the way she talks about her time at the boarding school, it shows that she's actually very grateful for that experience, and that experience has made her the person that she is. So she definitely talks a lot about the importance and significance of your school life. So as the story continues, she then talks about her time in America, as she did her high school from there, and her experience was quite something. Like, I really enjoyed that part. And she talks about bullying because she got bullied there and it was pretty bad for her self-esteem. So she came back to India and it took her some time to adjust. Then she talks about the Miss India phase and everything that followed thereafter, that is getting movies and getting acquainted to the newfound freedom and fame. So she does talk about nepotism, although she doesn't use the word nepotism in the book. She uses the word favoritism, maybe because she didn't want to enter any controversy. Anyway, moving forward, she talks about how she went to Hollywood and started this music career, which of course didn't go well. She talks about it pretty honestly, and then she talks about her show Quantico and everything that has followed thereafter. So this is quite the timeline of the book. And then of course she talks about losing her father, meeting Nick Jonas, marrying him. I was actually really curious to know how she will end the book, because since it's of course an unfinished story, as the title suggests, her life hasn't ended. There's a lot that she has to accomplish now, but I wanted to know how she will finish it. So she ends it on the note of her time that she spends with UNICEF. So this is the timeline of the book. Now let's talk about what are the things that I liked and then I'll talk about the things that I didn't like about the book. So the first thing that I really liked about the book is she has written the book with a lot of respect and gratitude, and it shows throughout the book, which I absolutely admire. The next thing that I really admire is the way she has expressed her grief. So we all know that she was really close to her father, and of course, because of her busy schedule, she couldn't spend a lot of time with her father, and of course her father didn't want her to stay at home and be with him. Instead, he wanted her to go and work. Honestly, at times there were tears in my eyes, because I could understand what it must be for her to lose her father, who has been nothing but supportive and so supportive. So it was just breaking my heart reading about all that, because you know, when you are a celebrity, people stop looking at you as a person. It's like you have become a screen and you are just for entertainment, and people stop realizing that it's a person and they feel exactly the things that we feel. So that stops them from even allowing themselves to feel all these things, because they are a star or a celebrity and they cannot indulge in all of that. They have to put a masquerade and go out and work and entertain other people, which must be so draining for her. And she talks about it, that she completely put herself to her work and she completely compartmentalized her grief, never thought about that, and just kept working. At that time she was working on her Mary Kom project, which was such a success and which also required her to be so much emotionally, mentally and physically involved, because it was quite a difficult movie. So it was definitely something that was taking a toll on her mental health, and eventually she did fall prey to depression. Although she states that she was not clinically diagnosed, but what she felt, she realized that it must be depression. Other than her battle with depression, she also talks about her failed relationships, and she doesn't name anyone, but she talks about the pattern that she had in relationships. The thing that I loved a lot about that part was that she didn't blame anyone. Instead, she took responsibility of resolving her traumas and the things that were not quite working for her, and because of those things she fell into this weird pattern that her relationships were failing one after the other. So that's something that I really liked, because it's very easy to put the blame on the other person and call them names, but to take responsibility, to actually work on yourself, is something that needs courage. So I really enjoyed that, and I think that other people who will read her book will be inspired. Alright, so now let's talk about some things about the book that I didn't quite enjoy, and first we will talk about the writing style. So when I purchased the book, I expected that the writing will be beautiful, sophisticated and classy, but as I read the book, I realized that the writing was pretty primary school level, and it just felt very amateurish, and I didn't expect it, because you know, speaking and communicating is her forte. It's something that she's really good at, and that's why I look up to her. But that didn't reflect in her writing, maybe because writing is not her thing. It's something that she did for the first time. So in the beginning, the writing is very primary school level, and there's hardly any momentum. Like the language, the sentences don't flow. It feels very amateurish. But as the story continues, I think her writing gets better, which is a good thing. But it's not consistent throughout the book. So the writing is definitely not consistent. It matures with the story, and maybe that was a well thought decision. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's something that I noticed and I didn't quite like. I mean, it's not about making the writing difficult or using obscure words. No, I'm not talking about that. But you know, there is usually a momentum, a flow in sentences that makes the reading very effortless and beautiful, which didn't happen for a long time in the book. Towards the end, when she talks about her grief and depression, all of that, I think that's the place where her writing becomes like really good. That's the part when her writing becomes mature. So I think since it's her first book, the beginning part was like that. I mean, it's definitely not a big deal. In fact, it's a good thing for beginners. If you haven't read a lot of books, then this book will be really easy for you, and you will definitely be able to read this book. Now, my major problem with the book is that there is not a lot of brand new information in the book. What I mean by that is, if you are a fan of Priyanka Chopra, then I'm sure that you must have watched all her interviews, all her videos that are on YouTube, because you like her. And as I told you that I really admire her speaking skills, I have watched all her interviews, and everything related to Priyanka Chopra that's available on YouTube, I have watched that. So the thing is, when I read the book, I felt like I know all of this. So if you have watched her interviews and videos, then most of the things in the book you already know. And that was sad, because of course I spent money. I spent 531 rupees on this book, and there was hardly any new information. Now that moment has come in this video where I talk about whether I recommend this book to you guys or not. So my answer is no. I don't really think that reading this book is absolutely necessary. I think you can definitely use that 500 or 530 rupees on some other book which will be more worthwhile for you, because you're investing your time in this book and money, and I don't really think you will get a lot back. I mean, I'm not saying anything negative about her. It's just that she has already talked about these things in her interview. That's the only reason why I'm saying this. Had this information not be available on internet for free, I wouldn't say this. If all this was brand new information, I would say that go ahead, read the book. But it's already there in her interviews. There's nothing, or most of the book is not really brand new information. So that's my only reason for saying this. But if you are a dedicated fan of Priyanka Chopra, then go ahead, buy this book, read it. It's completely up to you. So yeah, this was my honest review of the book. I just tried to be as blunt and honest as possible, because I know that you guys were really curious about this book and you wanted to know whether you would like to invest your money in this book or not, and I just answered it as honestly as I could. And I really hope that you found this video valuable and enjoyed it as well. If you did, then definitely like, share and subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. Hit the bell icon so you are notified with all the further updates, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.